If people are laughing at what God put in your heart, this one's for you. I know that feeling, the one where you're holding something precious, something you believe came straight from heaven's mouth to your trembling hands, and the people you thought would celebrate are mocking, not questioning, not gently concerned, mocking. Screenshots and inside jokes and that particular brand of cruelty that only people who once knew you can deliver with surgical precision. They laughed at my dream. I built anyway. That's what tonight is about. Not because I'm brave. Not because I figured out some hack to make criticism bounce off like I'm wearing spiritual Teflon. But because somewhere between the group chat and the half-finished wall, God taught me something Nehemiah knew when enemies gathered at his gate. Mockery doesn't cancel calling. It just reveals where courage has to grow. You're going to get one scripture backbone tonight, Nehemiah 4:6, King James, and we're going to let it hold us through 5 movements of this story. You'll walk away with 3 anchors you can use before your head hits the pillow. And at the end, there's a quiet benediction waiting, the kind that doesn't shout over your shame but sits beside it and says, I see you. Keep building. Because here's the hope signal I need you to catch early. Obedience outlasts applause. Walls rise not because critics go silent, but because builders refuse to stop. Let me show you where this started for me. It's 9:47 p.m. on a Thursday, and the kitchen is dim except for the blue glow from my phone on the counter. I'm washing a single plate, mine, because I ate alone again, and the phone vibrates. Once, twice, then it doesn't stop. The kind of buzz that means the group chat is alive, and you already know, don't you? You know before you even dry your hands. You know before you swipe. You know because your chest tightens and your stomach drops and some animal part of your brain recognizes the sound of a pack turning. I pick it up. 8 new messages. The first one is a screenshot. My business plan. The one I sent to 3 people I trusted a week ago, asking for prayer, maybe some feedback. It's there now, in a group of 12, with someone's crude red circle around the part where I wrote ministry expansion goal, 50 women in year 1. Beneath it, a message, 50 whole women, bless her heart. 3 crying laughing emojis. I scroll. Someone else. I mean, does she know how this works? Another. It's giving 2019 MLM energy. A voice note. I press play before I can stop myself. It's Kayla. Kayla, who I've known since youth group, who braided my hair before prom, who said 2 Sundays ago, I'm praying for you, sis. Her voice is high, performative, mocking. Guys, I'm going to change the world with my little Jesus business. Laughter in the background. 2 people react with fire emojis. I lock the screen. Unlock it. Read it again. As if reading it a second time will change the words. As if maybe I misunderstood. But no, they're talking about me like I'm a joke they're all in on. My name appears 11 times. I count. The cruelest part isn't the strangers. It's the ones I know. The girl who said she'd vouch for me if I ever needed a reference. The guy who told me at small group, man, I really see God's hand on your life. And Kayla. God, Kayla. I texted her 4 days ago asking if she'd pray about a financial breakthrough. She sent back a heart emoji and already on it. Tonight, she's imitating my pitch in a baby voice, and 12 people think it's hilarious. The plate slips from my hand into the sink. Doesn't break. Just clatters. Loud in the quiet. My chest is hot, tight. Shame blooms fast, spreads like spilled wine across white fabric. You can't stop it, can't blot it fast enough. My hands shake as I set the phone down, face up this time, because some sick part of me wants to see if more messages come. They do. A gif of someone tripping, another laughing emoji. Someone types, I can't breathe, like my dream is the funniest thing they've encountered all week. I should leave the chat. I know I should. My thumb hovers over the settings icon, but I don't press it. Because leaving feels like admitting they're right, like conceding, like running. So I just stand there, dish towel in my hand, staring at my phone like it's a crime scene. And underneath the shame, underneath the hot anger that makes me want to type 17 paragraphs defending myself, paragraphs I'll write and delete 3 times before giving up, there's something worse. Fear. The quiet, poisonous kind that whispers, what if they're right? What if this is too big for me? What if I misheard God? What if that night 6 months ago when I woke at 3 a.m. with this vision burning in my chest, when I wrote it down with shaking hands and felt like Moses at the bush, what if that was just insomnia, desperation, ego dressed up in spiritual language because I wanted to feel significant? What if I'm not called? What if I'm just Embarrassing. I type a reply. Delete it. Type another. Delete it. What's the point? Defending yourself to people who've already made you the punchline feels like screaming into static. They're not asking questions. They're performing. And I'm the stage. I pick up the phone one more time. Scroll up. They've been talking for 37 minutes. This isn't spontaneous. This is planned. Someone started it. Probably sent the screenshot to one person first, tested the waters, got a laugh, then unleashed it to the group. I can see the anatomy of the ambush now, and it makes my stomach turn. Tobiah would have loved this. Sanballat too. You know those names, right? Nehemiah's enemies. The ones who stood at the rubble of Jerusalem's gates and mocked the builders. Not just criticized, mocked. The King James says they laughed them to scorn and asked, "What do these feeble Jews? Will they fortify themselves? Will they sacrifice? Will they make an end in a day? Will they revive the stones out of the heaps of the rubbish which are burned?" Nehemiah 4:2. Every question designed to corrode confidence. Not outright lies, but something worse. Questions that make you question yourself. Will they really finish? Can they really pull this off? Look at them. Look at the rubble. Look how small they are. It's the serpent's oldest trick, not "God didn't say," but "Did God really say?" Just enough doubt to make you pause. Just enough mockery to make you wonder if obedience is actually just naivety with a Bible verse attached. That's what's happening in my kitchen right now. The group chat isn't just mean, it's strategic. It's targeting the two most tender places. Who are you to try this? And what if you fail? I know why mockery bites this deep. It's because part of me already asked those questions in the dark. Part of me already wondered if I was crazy, if I was too small, if the vision was too big and I misread the scale. Mockery doesn't plant new doubts. It waters the ones already growing. And here's what makes it worse. I can't even tell if I'm more hurt or more angry or more ashamed. Shame that I shared it at all. Shame that I believed God would use someone like me. Shame that I'm 34 years old standing in my kitchen crying over a group chat like I'm in middle school again. Because that's the thing, isn't it? This isn't the first time. 4th grade. Mrs. Patterson's class. I raised my hand to answer a question about fractions. Got it wrong. 3 kids snickered. Emily, Josh, and someone whose name I don't even remember but whose laugh I can still hear. Mrs. Patterson didn't correct them, just moved on. I didn't raise my hand again for 2 years. High school. I auditioned for the worship team solo. Didn't get it. My friend Becca said, "Well, you tried." But her smile had pity in it. The kind that says, "I'm embarrassed for you." I stopped singing in public, college, family dinner. I told everyone I was switching my major to ministry. Uncle Jim laughed, actually laughed, and said, "Good luck making money with that. You gonna pay rent with prayers?" 4 people chuckled. My mom changed the subject. I never brought it up again at family gatherings. Every single time, I learned the same lesson. Visibility invites vulnerability. So stay small, stay quiet, stay safe. I built a wall, but not the kind God wanted. I built one around my dreams to keep them from being seen, being mocked, being torn apart by people who didn't even have the decency to do it to my face. And now, God calls me to build something public, something visible, something that requires me to stand in the rubble and say, "Yes, I'm doing this. Yes, I believe God told me to. No, I don't have it all figured out yet." And the moment I step into that obedience, every old wound screams, "Don't." Remember what happened last time? I lock my phone. For real this time. Place its screen down on the counter. The blue glow disappears. The house is so quiet I can hear the refrigerator hum. My breath, the faint creak of the floorboards as I shift my weight. I feel small, like I'm shrinking. Like if I stay still enough, maybe God won't notice I'm about to quit. Maybe the group chat won't either. Maybe I can just let this whole thing fade, delete the website draft, cancel the LLC filing, tell the 3 people who did encourage me that I felt led in a different direction. It would be easier, it would hurt less, but then, quiet. So quiet I almost miss it. A whisper, not audible, not out loud, but undeniable. The kind that rises from somewhere deeper than thought, softer than sound. "Child, their laughter is not your Lord. I am." I open my eyes. I didn't realize I'd closed them. The phone is still face down, the kitchen is still dim, nothing has changed except everything has, because that whisper didn't come from me. I don't talk to myself like that. I don't comfort myself with that kind of clarity. That was him. The same voice that said, "Build this," 6 months ago when I woke in the dark. The same voice that's been steady when I've been chaos. Their laughter is not your Lord. I say it out loud, just to hear it in my own voice. Their laughter is not my Lord. It doesn't make the group chat less cruel. Doesn't erase the screenshots. Doesn't change the fact that 12 people think I'm a joke. But it does something else. It realigns who I'm answering to. I walk to the table, sit down, open my notebook, the one I've been using to plan this thing they're all laughing at. The pages are full of half-formed ideas, budgets that don't balance yet, timelines that feel ambitious, prayers scribbled in the margins. God, is this really you? God, I'm scared. God, please let this work. At the top of a blank page, I write 3 words. My hand shakes a little, but I write them anyway. God said build. Not eloquent, not Instagram caption worthy, not even a full sentence. But it's true. And truth, I'm learning, doesn't need to be loud enough. I sit there for a long time, don't write anything else, just stare at those 3 words. Let them hold me. Let them be the stake in the ground when everything else feels like shifting sand. The phone buzzes again. I don't pick it up. I think about Nehemiah, how Sanballat and Tobiah didn't just mock once. They kept mocking. They escalated. They formed alliances. They spread rumors. They threatened violence. And at every stage, Nehemiah had a choice: defend himself, spiral into despair, or keep building. He chose building. Not because he was fearless. The man prayed constantly. He set watches. He armed his workers. He was terrified. But he built anyway. So built we the wall, the King James says, and all the wall was joined together unto the half thereof. For the people had a mind to work. Nehemiah 4:6. A mind to work, not a mood, not a feeling, not confidence or clarity or the approval of the crowd. A mind, a decision, a consecrated focus that says, I will build even when I don't feel brave, even when the group chat pings, even when my hands tremble, even when I'm not sure this will work. I will build because God said build, and their laughter doesn't get a vote. I close the notebook, stand up. My legs feel steadier than they did 10 minutes ago. I don't need to finish the wall tonight. I don't even need to understand the full blueprint. I just need to do one thing, one small, defiant, obedient thing. So I open my laptop, navigate to the website draft I've been working on, the one I almost deleted an hour ago, and I add one paragraph, just one, about why this matters, who it's for, what I believe God is building. It takes me 12 minutes. I read it 3 times. It's not perfect, but it's honest. I hit save. That's it. That's the whole rebellion. 1 paragraph. 1 brick. But it's my brick, and it's placed. Mockery thrives in paralysis. It feeds on freeze. It wants you to stop moving, stop creating, stop obeying. Because motion, even small, stumbling, imperfect motion, starves it. I don't feel victorious. I feel tired, a little numb. But also, something else. Something I didn't have an hour ago. Resolved, the group chat is still there. The jokes are still being made. Tomorrow I'll probably cry about it again. But tonight I placed 1 brick, and the wall is 1 brick closer to half. Build anyway. That's what I whisper to myself as I close the laptop. Not as a shout, not as a declaration of war, just as a quiet, stubborn fact. They laughed. I built anyway. And tomorrow, God help me, I'll build again. You know what's wild? 3 days after the group chat incident, I'm still thinking about it. Not constantly. I'm functional, I'm working, I'm brushing my teeth and showing up to things. But it's there. Like a low-grade fever. Like a bruise you keep pressing just to see if it still hurts. It does. And I'm starting to realize the group chat isn't actually the problem. It's a symptom. The match that lit something that was already soaked in gasoline. Because here's the truth I don't want to look at. I've been afraid of mockery my entire life. And I've built my whole existence around avoiding it. It's Saturday morning. I'm at the kitchen table again. Same chair, same notebook, different kind of reckoning. The house is quiet. My phone is in the other room, on Do Not Disturb, because I've learned that checking it first thing in the morning is like drinking poison for breakfast. The group chat has moved on. They're planning someone's birthday brunch now, talking about mimosas and where to get good pancakes, like they didn't eviscerate my dream 72 hours ago. I'm still muted in there. Haven't left, haven't engaged, just muted. It feels like the only boundary I can enforce right now without completely falling apart. I've got my coffee, my Bible. And this question I can't shake, the one that woke me at 5:43 a.m. and wouldn't let me go back to sleep. Why does mockery hurt me this much? Not, why does mockery hurt? That's obvious, that's human. But why does it cut this deep? Why does it feel less like criticism and more like confirmation of something I've always suspected about myself? So I do something I haven't done in years. I start making a list, not of what they said, not of who hurt me, but of every time I remember being laughed at, dismissed, or made to feel small for trying. The list gets long fast. 4th grade, Mrs. Patterson's class, fractions. I already told you that one. But here's what I didn't tell you. After those 3 kids laughed, I spent the rest of the year sitting in the back. I stopped raising my hand for 2 years, yes, but I also started eating lunch in the library. Started pretending I didn't care about school. Because if you don't try, no one can laugh when you fail. 6th grade. I wrote a poem for the school talent show. My mum said it was beautiful. I practiced it 40 times in front of my mirror. I was ready. The day before the show, I read it to my youth group. 3 of the older kids exchanged looks, you know the kind, the oh honey kind, and one of them said, "That's sweet." Very earnest, like it was a disease. I pulled out of the talent show, told my mum I had a stomachache. 8th grade. I tried out for the basketball team, didn't make it. Not unusual, lots of kids didn't make it. But at lunch, someone said, "I heard you tried out for basketball," and the whole table laughed. Not cruelly, just laughed. Like the idea of me playing sports was absurd. I never tried out for anything again. High school, the worship team audition, Becca's pitying smile. I told you that part. What I didn't tell you, I stopped singing entirely for a year, not just in public, at all. I stopped singing in the car, in the shower. At church, I'd mouth the words, because if I couldn't do it well, why do it at all? College. Uncle Jim's comment about my major. That one stuck because it was at Thanksgiving, in front of everyone, and no one defended me. My dad just cut his turkey. My mum changed the subject to my cousin's new job, and I sat there, face hot, realizing, they think he's right. First job after graduation. I pitched an idea in a staff meeting. My boss said, "Let's table that," which is corporate speak for no. But then a guy 2 seats down snickered and whispered something to the woman next to him. They both looked at me, smiled. I never pitched another idea at that job. I quit 6 months later. 2 years ago, I told a friend, different friend, not in the group chat, that I was thinking about starting a ministry. She said, "Oh, that's nice." Like a little side thing. Little. Like it couldn't possibly be serious. Like I couldn't possibly be capable of something big. I laughed it off. Didn't bring it up again. Last year, I posted something vulnerable on Instagram about feeling called to something bigger, about wrestling with fear. 17 likes, 3 comments, all generic. Praying for you. You got this. 1 DM from someone I barely knew. Just make sure you're hearing from God and not just, wanting attention. I deleted the post 3 hours later, and now, the group chat, Kayla, the screenshots, 50 whole women. I set the pen down, stare at the list, it's 2 pages long, and here's what guts me. I can't remember a single time I pushed through the mockery. Not once. Every single time I folded. I quit. I hid. I made myself smaller. I learned over and over and over that visibility is dangerous, that trying is risky, that the safest place to be is invisible. So I became a ghost in my own life. I showed up, but I didn't show up. I participated, but I didn't lead. I had dreams, but I kept them in my journal where no one could laugh at them. And it worked. For a long time, it worked. No one mocked me because no one saw me. I was safe. I was also suffocating. Here's the thing about wounds. They don't just hurt once. They teach. They shape. They become the blueprint for how you navigate the world. Every time I got laughed at and no one defended me, I learned, you're on your own. Every time I tried something and failed publicly, I learned, don't try. Or at least, don't let anyone see you try. Every time someone dismissed my dreams, I learned, your dreams are embarrassing. Keep them small. Keep them secret. And over time, those lessons compounded. They became my operating system. I didn't even realize I was running on fear code until God asked me to build something that required visibility. Because you can't build a wall in secret. You can't raise stones quietly. Building is public. Obedience, when it's real, is loud. Not because you're trying to perform, but because hammers make noise. Progress is visible. And visibility is exactly what I've spent 34 years avoiding. So when God said, build this, He wasn't just asking me to start a ministry. He was asking me to dismantle the survival system I'd constructed over 3 decades. He was asking me to be seen. And being seen, for someone with my wound history, feels like volunteering for execution. I think about Nehemiah again, how he didn't just wake up one day and start building. He had a process. First, he wept, he mourned. He sat with the reality of the broken walls for days before he did anything. Nehemiah 1:4, KJV. I sat down and wept, and mourned certain days, and fasted, and prayed before the God of heaven. He didn't skip the grief. He didn't perform strength. He let himself feel the devastation. Then he prayed. Not a quick God bless this prayer. A full, raw, honest pouring out of his heart. Confession, repentance, begging, remembering God's promises. Nehemiah 1:5-11. Then he made a plan. He went to the king. He asked for resources. He assessed the damage in secret before announcing the project publicly. Nehemiah 2. Then he mobilized people. He didn't build alone. He organized families to work on the sections nearest their own homes, so everyone had personal investment. Nehemiah 3. Prayer, plan, people. Not people first, not plan first, prayer first. Because Nehemiah knew what I'm just learning. The battle isn't primarily external, it's internal, it's spiritual. The enemies outside the gate are formidable, yes, but the enemies inside the mind are worse. Sanballat's mockery was brutal, but Nehemiah's own doubt, his own fear, the voice inside that whispered, "Who do you think you are?" That was the real war. And the only way to win that war is to take it to God first. So I close my notebook, open my Bible, and I do something I should have done 3 days ago. I pray. Not a pretty prayer. Not a Lord bless this food prayer. A Nehemiah prayer. God, I say out loud, because sometimes I need to hear my own voice say it. I'm so tired. I'm tired of being afraid. I'm tired of shrinking. I'm tired of letting other people's opinions determine what I do with the calling you gave me. And my voice cracks here, which surprises me. I'm so angry at myself for being this weak, for caring this much what they think, for almost quitting over a group chat. I stop, breathe. My hands are shaking. I don't know how to do this, I continue. I don't know how to build something public when my entire life I've learned that being visible gets you hurt. I don't know how to keep going when people I trusted think I'm a joke, and I don't... Another crack, deeper this time. I don't know if I even believe I can do this. I don't know if you really called me, or if I just wanted to feel important. There it is. The ugly truth. The fear beneath the fear. What if I made this up? I sit in the silence. Wait. I don't know what I'm waiting for. A lightning bolt, maybe. An audible voice. Something to confirm I didn't imagine the whole thing. What I get instead is a memory. 6 months ago. 3:17 a.m. I woke up with my heart pounding. Not from a nightmare, from something else. Something alive. I sat up in bed, wide awake, and felt this overwhelming sense that God was in the room. Not metaphorically, in the room. And into my mind came this vision. So clear it was almost tangible. Women, dozens of them, sitting in circles, crying, laughing, healing, learning scripture, praying for each other. And somehow, in this vision, I was leading them. Not because I was special, not because I had it all figured out, but because I had been where they were, and I had let God walk me through it, and now I could walk them through it too. I grabbed my phone, opened my notes app, typed with shaking hands, ministry, women, healing, small groups, in-person plus online, make it accessible, make it real, make it scripture-heavy, don't make it pretty, make it true. I wrote for 20 minutes. Ideas poured out faster than I could type. Details I hadn't thought about suddenly obvious. The structure, the curriculum, the pricing model, even the name. When I finally stopped, I read it back and thought, this is insane. This is way too big for me. But I also thought, this didn't come from me, because I don't think like that. I don't dream that big. I don't wake up at 3 a.m. with fully formed ministry plans. That was him. I open my notes app, scroll back to that entry, read it again. It's all still there, every detail, still clear, still specific, still beyond me. And I realize the group chat didn't erase this. Mockery didn't delete the vision. The calling is still there, underneath the fear, underneath the shame, underneath the wounds. God didn't take it back just because 12 people laughed. Nevertheless, we made our prayer unto our God and set a watch against them day and night because of them. Nehemiah 4:9, KJV. Nevertheless, not therefore we quit. Not so we decided they were right. Nevertheless, in spite of the opposition, we prayed and we watched. Prayer first, then vigilance. Not instead of vigilance, with it. Nehemiah didn't pretend the enemies weren't real. He didn't spiritualize the threat away. He prayed, and then he set guards. He built with a tool in one hand and a weapon in the other. Nehemiah 4:17. Sword and trowel, defense and offense, watch and work. I grab my notebook again. Start a new page. At the top, I write, what I actually have right now. Because that's what Nehemiah did. He didn't start with what he wished he had. He started with inventory. What's real? What's accessible? What's already in hand? So I make a list. $283 in my ministry fund savings account. Not much, but not nothing. That friend who told me last month, I believe in you. Her name is Rachel, and she meant it. This laptop, the hour between 5:30 and 6:30 a.m. before the world wakes up when I can work without interruption. The website draft, still saved, 1 paragraph added. The vision itself, still intact, still clear, still burning. The knowledge that I've already survived every other time I was mocked, even though it didn't feel like survival at the time. The testimony that God has never abandoned me, even when people did. Nehemiah 4:6, which I'm learning to breathe like oxygen. I stare at the list. It's not impressive. It's not a Forbes feature. It's not even enough to convince the group chat I'm serious. But it's enough to build one more brick. Nehemiah's wall didn't start full height. It started with rubble, with broken stones pulled from heaps of ash. The text says they revived the stones. Nehemiah 4:2. They took what was burned and discarded and reused it. Nothing wasted, everything redeemed. Maybe that's what God's doing with me. Taking the burned stones of every mockery, every wound, every time I folded, and teaching me how to build with them. Not in spite of the wounds, with them. Because the woman who's never been laughed at can't lead the women who are afraid to try. The woman who's never been dismissed can't shepherd the dreamers who've been told they're too small. The woman who's never wanted to quit can't hold space for the ones who are one group chat away from giving up. My wounds aren't disqualifications, they're my credentials. I define my half-wall milestone. Not the finished dream, not 50 women, not full curriculum, not the podcast and the book and the conference. Just proof it's real. For Nehemiah, the half-wall was literal. All the wall was joined together unto the half thereof. Nehemiah 4:6. Halfway up. Measurable. Undeniable. For me it's this. Website live. 3 women signed up for the first group. First meeting scheduled. That's it. That's my half wall. If I can get 3 women in a room, or on a Zoom, and lead them through one session, then this isn't a joke. It's not a fantasy. It's not me being delusional. It's real. And once it's real, it's just a matter of continuing. I open my laptop. Look at my calendar. Today is Saturday. I give myself 2 weeks. By the end of next week, the website needs to be live. Not perfect, but functional. The week after, I'll send the link to 10 women. Not the group chat. Not Kayla. Women I barely know, actually, because sometimes strangers believe in you faster than friends do. If 3 sign up, I run the first session. If none do, I reassess. But I don't quit. I adjust. I learn. I try again. Prayer, plan, people. But I can't skip the watch. Because Nehemiah's enemies didn't stop at mockery. They escalated. Sanballat went from jokes to threats, from sarcasm to sabotage. They conspired, all of them together, to come and to fight against Jerusalem and to hinder it. Nehemiah 4:8, KJV. The opposition always escalates when the building actually starts. So I need boundaries, real ones. I pick up my phone, go to the group chat settings. My thumb hovers over Leave Group. But I don't press it. Not out of fear this time, out of strategy. Leaving feels like giving them power, like they won, like I'm running. Instead, I mute it. Permanently. Turn off notifications. I'll stay in the group, but I won't let it into my mind every time someone types. Then I do something harder. I open a new note and write, people I will not tell about this project until it's undeniable. The list includes Kayla, 3 others from the group chat, my Uncle Jim, that friend who called it a little side thing, even a few people who haven't hurt me but whose opinions I care about too much. Not because I'm ashamed, because I'm guarding. Nehemiah didn't announce his plan until he'd assessed the damage privately. He didn't let the mockers into the strategy room. He worked in secret first, then revealed when the time was right. Nehemiah 2:12-16. There's wisdom in selective visibility. I don't owe everyone access to my process. I don't need to prove myself to people who've already decided I'm a joke. I need to build first, prove it to God first, prove it to myself first. Then, when the wall is undeniably standing, they can say what they want. The stones will speak louder. I also write, people I will tell. Rachel, she's first, she showed up before, she'll show up again. My pastor's wife, who I don't know well but who once said to me after service, I see something in you that you don't see yet. Don't hide it. And one more, a woman from an online community I'm in. We've never met in person, but she sent me a message once that said, your comments always make me think. Have you considered teaching? I brushed it off at the time. Maybe I shouldn't have. 3 people. That's my starting team. Not 12. Not a crowd. Just 3. Nehemiah started with the king, a few trusted officials, and eventually the families willing to build. He didn't need everyone. He needed the right ones. I text Rachel, can we talk this week? I need someone who'll ask me the hard questions and not let me quit. She responds in 4 minutes. Yes. Tuesday night? I'll bring the hard questions and the good snacks. I smile. First time in 3 days. One more thing. I go back to that 3 a.m. vision in my notes. Read it again. Then I copy it into a new document. At the top, I write, Divine Whisper number 2. Because I need to remember. This didn't start with me. It won't end with me. The calling came from outside myself, which means the strength to finish will too. And then, soft as a breath, I hear it again. Set a watch and set your hands to work. Not just build, not just guard, both. Prayer and boundaries, vision and vigilance, sword and trowel. I whisper back, out loud in my kitchen. Okay, I'm watching, I'm working, I'm not done yet. Build anyway. That's what I write at the bottom of the page. Second time I've written it. It's starting to feel less like a wish and more like a decision. They laughed. God listened. And me? I'm still here, still planning, still placing bricks. Tomorrow I'll work on the website. Tuesday I'll meet with Rachel. Next week I'll send the invitations. Not because I feel ready, not because the group chat apologized, not because the fear went away, because God said build. And I'm learning, slowly, painfully, 1 brick at a time, that obedience doesn't wait for applause. It just builds. It's Tuesday night, and Rachel is sitting across from me at my kitchen table with a bag of trail mix and a look on her face that says she's not here to make me feel better. She's here to make me tell the truth. So, she says, popping an almond into her mouth, are we doing this, or are we just going to talk around it? I laugh, nervous. Doing what? The hard questions. She leans forward. You texted me saying you needed someone who wouldn't let you quit. That means you're thinking about quitting. So let's start there. Why? And just like that, the floodgates I've been holding shut for 9 days crack open. Because I don't know if I'm actually hearing from God or if I'm just I stop. Start again. What if this whole thing is just me wanting to feel important? What if the 3 a.m. vision was just insomnia and ego dressed up in spiritual language? What if the group chat is right, and I'm delusional, and I'm about to embarrass myself in front of more people than just 12? Rachel doesn't interrupt. She just watches me. Waits. And even if God did call me to this, which some days I believe and some days I don't, who am I to lead anyone? I can barely lead myself. I still struggle with the same sins I struggled with 5 years ago. I still have weeks where I don't read my Bible. I still get jealous when I see other women doing big things for God. My voice breaks. I still care so much what people think of me that I almost let a group chat kill something God gave me. What kind of leader is that? Rachel sets down the trail mix. Are you done? I don't know. Maybe. Good. Because I have a question. She tilts her head. When you woke up at 3 a.m. 6 months ago and wrote down that vision, before the group chat, before the fear, before any of this, did you believe it was God? I don't answer right away, because I want to be honest. I want to give her the real answer, not the one that makes me sound spiritual. Yes, I finally say. I did. I knew it was him. I've never been that certain about anything in my life. And when you read it now, what does it feel like? Still true, I whisper. Bigger than me, beyond me, but still true. Rachel nods. So the calling hasn't changed. You have. The opposition convinced you that you're not qualified, so now you're looking for evidence that God made a mistake. But here's what I need you to hear. She pauses. Makes sure I'm looking at her. God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called, and he doesn't need your permission to use you. He's not waiting for you to feel ready. He's waiting for you to say yes. I feel something crack open in my chest. Not a break, a release. Like I've been holding my breath for 9 days, and finally, I'm allowed to exhale. But there's more underneath, something uglier, and if we're doing hard questions, I have to go there. I say slowly, I think I've been lying to myself about why mockery hurts so much. Okay, tell me. I've been saying it's because I care what people think. But that's not the whole truth. I swallow. The whole truth is, I'm addicted to approval. I don't just want people to like me. I need them to. I've built my entire identity around being liked, being safe, being non-threatening. And this thing God's calling me to, it's threatening. It's big. It requires me to take up space and have opinions and lead. And that means some people won't like me. Some people will criticize me. Some people will mock me. My throat tightens. And I don't know if I can do something that guarantees disapproval. Because disapproval feels like death. Rachel doesn't look shocked. She looks sad, compassionate. Keep going, she says softly. And there's more. I'm crying now, which I didn't plan on, but apparently we're doing this. I'm jealous. I've spent years watching other women build ministries and write books and lead conferences, and I've told myself I'm cheering for them, but I'm not. Not really. Part of me resents them. Part of me thinks, why them and not me? What do they have that I don't? And now that God is saying, your turn, I'm terrified because what if I try and I'm not as good as them? What if I fail publicly? What if people compare me to the women I've been secretly envying and decide I don't measure up? I wipe my face with the back of my hand. So yeah, that's the truth. I'm a people pleaser with an approval addiction and a jealousy problem, and God wants me to lead people. That's the joke. That's why the group chat is probably right to laugh. Rachel lets the silence sit for a moment. Then she says, You done now? I think so. Good. Because that was honest. And honesty is where God can actually work. She reaches across the table, squeezes my hand. You know what Nehemiah did when the enemies mocked him? He prayed, she repeats, but not some polite prayer. He prayed, Hear, O our God, for we are despised, and turn their reproach upon their own head. Nehemiah 4:4 KJV. He vented to God. He told God exactly how he felt. He didn't sanitize it. He didn't perform spirituality. He just told the truth. She leans back. That's what you just did. You told the truth. Not to impress me. Not to make yourself sound good. You told the ugly, complicated human truth. And you know what? God already knew all of that. He called you knowing you're a people pleaser. He called you knowing you struggle with jealousy. He called you knowing you'd almost quit over a group chat. And he called you anyway. But why? My voice is small. Why would he choose someone like me? Because he doesn't choose people who have it all together. He chooses people who are desperate enough to depend on him. He chooses people who know they can't do it alone, so they won't try to take the credit when it works. She smiles. Moses stuttered. David committed adultery and murder. Peter denied Jesus 3 times. Paul killed Christians. God's whole brand is using broken people to do impossible things, so that when it works, everyone knows it wasn't them. It was him. I grab my Bible from the counter. Flip to Nehemiah 4. I've read it a dozen times in the past week, but tonight it feels different. Like it's reading me. So built we the wall, and all the wall was joined together unto the half thereof, for the people had a mind to work. Nehemiah 4:6. A mind to work. I say it out loud. A mind to work. What does that mean to you? Rachel asks. I trace the words with my finger. I think it means they decided, not felt, not waited until they were confident or qualified or approved. They just decided, this is what we're doing. This is what God said, so we're building. And what were they building with? Rachel prompts. Rubble, burned stones, the leftovers of destruction. Exactly. They didn't have perfect materials. They had what they had, and they built anyway. I look up at her. So my people-pleasing, my jealousy, my fear, those aren't disqualifications. They're just the materials I'm working with. Right. God doesn't need you to be perfect. He needs you to be willing. He needs you to have a mind to work, even when your hands are shaking, even when the mockers are loud, even when you're building with broken stones. I close my eyes, and for the first time in 9 days, I pray without performing, without trying to sound spiritual, without censoring. God, I say, and my voice is rough. I don't want to be a people-pleaser anymore. I don't want to need their approval to breathe. I don't want to be jealous of other women you're using. I don't want to be small and safe and invisible. But I also don't know how to not be those things. I've been this way for so long, I don't even know who I am without the fear. I pause, breathe. I don't feel qualified. I don't feel ready. I don't even feel brave. But I felt you at 3 a.m., and I still feel you now. And if you said build, then I'm saying yes. Not because I'm confident, not because I have it figured out, but because you said it, and I'm tired of saying no to you just because other people said no to me. Tears are streaming down my face now, but I don't stop. Give me a mind to work, not a feeling, not a mood, a mind, a decision that holds when my emotions don't. Give me the courage to disappoint people if it means obeying you. Give me the humility to build with broken stones, including the broken parts of me. And please, please, God, let this be you and not just me. Because if it's just me, I'll fail. But if it's you, I open my eyes. If it's you, then the mockers don't get the final word. You do. The kitchen is so quiet I can hear the clock ticking on the wall. Rachel is crying too, which she wasn't 9 minutes ago. And then, soft, certain, undeniable, a whisper. Not audible, not out loud, but so clear I could write it down word for word. I gave you the wall and the will. Stop asking permission from people who didn't give you either. I grab my notebook, write it down before I lose it. Divine whisper. Number 3. I gave you the wall and the will. Stop asking permission from people who didn't give you either. I read it 3 times, let it settle into my bones. God gave me the wall, the vision, the assignment, the calling, and God gave me the will, the desire, the fire, the 3 a.m. wake-up that wouldn't let me go. Neither of those things came from the group chat. Neither came from Kayla or Uncle Jim or the friend who called it a little side thing. They didn't give me this. They don't get to take it away. I've been asking for permission from people who have no authority over my obedience. And that stops tonight. Rachel watches me write. When I look up, she says, "What now?" "Now," I say, wiping my face. I stop asking if I should build and start asking how. I stop defending the calling and start doing it. I stop waiting to feel ready and just work. Even if they keep mocking? Even then? Even if you fail? I hesitate. Then. Even then. Because at least I'll fail trying. At least I'll fail obeying. And that's better than succeeding at staying small. Rachel grins. There she is. We spend the next hour doing something I should have done weeks ago. We make a plan, not a vague someday plan, a this week plan. By Friday, the website goes live. Not perfect, live. I'll use a template. I'll write copy that's good enough. I'll set up a basic sign-up form. That's it. The following Monday, I send the link to 10 women. Women I know are hungry. Women who've been hurt by church or by life or by their own fear. Women who need what I needed 6 months ago. Someone to say, "You're not crazy. God is real. Healing is possible." If 3 sign up, I schedule the first session for 2 weeks out. That gives me time to prep a basic curriculum, nothing fancy, just scripture and questions and space, to be honest. If none sign up, I reassess. But I don't quit. I adjust the messaging. I try again. I give it 3 rounds before I even consider that maybe God's timeline is different than mine. Rachel writes it all down, holds me accountable, asks the hard questions. What will you do if the group chat finds out and mocks you again? What if someone signs up and then drops out? What if you're leading a session and you don't have an answer? I answer each one. Some answers are confident, some are honest. I don't know, but I'll figure it out. That's progress. A week ago, I don't know would have paralyzed me. Tonight, it's just part of the process. Before Rachel leaves, she hugs me hard, whispers in my ear, "Mind to work." I whisper back, "Mind to work." It's becoming a refrain, a realignment, a breath prayer. When doubt creeps in, mind to work. When the phone buzzes, mind to work. When I want to check the group chat to see if they're still talking about me, mind to work. Not as a mantra, as a return. A way back to the truth when everything else feels like shifting sand. After she leaves, I sit at the table alone. Open my laptop, stare at the website draft, and I do something I haven't done in 9 days. I work on it without apologizing. I don't write timid copy that hedges and qualifies and says, "Maybe this will help, I don't know, I'm still learning too." I write true copy, honest copy. This is for women who are tired of pretending they're fine. This is for women who've been hurt by church but haven't given up on God. This is for women who need scripture and community and the space to heal without performing. I write about the 3 a.m. vision. I don't call it that. I just say, I believe God is inviting us into something here. Not perfect, not polished, just real. I set up the sign-up form. I write the confirmation email that will go out when someone registers. I choose a date for the first session, 3 weeks from today. It takes me 2 hours. When I'm done, the website still isn't perfect. The colors are basic. The layout is simple. There are probably typos I missed. But it's real. It's done. It's ready to go live. My finger hovers over the publish button. And I hear it again, quieter this time, but just as certain. I gave you the wall and the will. I press publish. The website goes live at 11:43 p.m. on a Tuesday. No fireworks, no applause. Just a quiet click and a URL that now leads somewhere real. I text Rachel. "It's live." She responds immediately. "Proud of you. Now go to bed. Tomorrow you build again." I smile, close the laptop, and I whisper into the quiet kitchen. Build anyway. 3rd time I've said it, and this time it doesn't feel like a wish or a decision. It feels like a vow. 3 weeks later, I'm sitting in my living room at 6:47 p.m., staring at my laptop screen, and I can't quite believe what I'm looking at. 4 women. 4 actual, real, registered women are about to log into a Zoom call for the first session of something I almost let a group chat kill. Not 3. 4. I know their names. I've read their registration forms, the part where I asked, "What are you hoping for from this group?" And they answered with the kind of raw honesty that made me cry at my kitchen table. Sarah wrote, "I just want to feel like God still sees me." Michelle wrote, I've been pretending I'm okay for 3 years and I can't do it anymore. Jessica wrote, I don't know if I even believe anymore, but I want to. And Tanya wrote 6 words that I've thought about every day since. I'm tired of being afraid alone. I'm tired of being afraid alone. Yeah, me too. The link goes live. One by one, they appear on screen. We do the awkward Zoom dance. Can you hear me? Your mic is muted. There you are. And then we settle. 5 boxes on a screen. 5 women who don't know each other. 5 stories that are about to intersect because God decided to wake me up at 3 a.m. 6 months ago. I've prepared. I have notes. I have scripture printed out. I have a rough outline of what I want to say. But when I open my mouth, what comes out isn't the polished introduction I practiced. What comes out is, I almost didn't do this. They go still, listening. 3 weeks ago, I continue, I almost deleted the website. I almost convinced myself that this was a bad idea, that I wasn't qualified, that no one would come. And the only reason I didn't quit is because someone reminded me that God doesn't need my permission to use me. He just needs my yes. I take a breath. So if you're here tonight thinking you're the only one who's scared or unsure or wondering if God really sees you, you're not. I'm scared too. But I think maybe that's the point. Maybe we're not supposed to have it all figured out before we start. Maybe we just start and God figures it out with us. Sarah unmutes. I needed to hear that, thank you. And just like that, the wall is real. Not finished, but real. We spend 90 minutes together. I teach through Nehemiah 4, the whole chapter, not just verse 6. We talk about mockery and fear and what it means to build when the enemies are loud. We talk about having a mind to work even when your hands are shaking. And then I do something I didn't plan. I tell them about the group chat. I wasn't going to. It felt too personal, too raw, too embarrassing. But when Jessica says, I'm afraid that if I step out and try what God's asking me to try, people will laugh at me, I can't not tell her. So I do. I tell them about the screenshots, about Kayla, about the memes, about standing in my kitchen wanting to quit. And you know what happens? They don't pity me. They thank me. Michelle says, I thought I was the only one. I thought everyone else had it together and I was the only one afraid of being mocked. Tanya says, last month I told my sister about a dream I had, and she laughed. I haven't told anyone since, but hearing you say you kept building anyway. Her voice breaks. I think I can try again. We pray together at the end. Not pretty prayers, real ones. The kind where people cry and stumble over their words and say, God, I don't even know what I'm asking for, but I'm here. When we log off, I sit in the quiet of my living room and realize this is the half wall. 4 women, 90 minutes, 1 session. It's not 50 women, it's not a conference, it's not a book deal or a podcast or any of the big shiny things I thought success would look like, but it's measurable. It's undeniable. It's real. The wall is joined together unto the half thereof, and I didn't build it alone. That night, I can't sleep. Not because I'm anxious, because I'm awake. My mind is buzzing, but not with fear this time, with recognition. I keep thinking about something Rachel said 3 weeks ago. God doesn't remove the obstacles. He fortifies you through them. And I realize he's been doing that my whole life. I just didn't see it until now. I grab my journal, start writing. Not a to-do list, not a plan, a timeline. Not of my wounds. I already excavated those. A timeline of preservation. Every time I almost quit but didn't. Every time I almost broke but held. Every time God caught me, and I didn't even realize it was him until now. 4th grade. I stopped raising my hand for 2 years after those kids laughed. But you know what I did instead? I started reading, voraciously. I read every book in the school library I could get my hands on, and by 6th grade I was writing better than anyone in my class. The teacher entered one of my essays in a district competition. I won. I never connected those dots before. I thought the mockery just wounded me. I didn't see that God was redirecting me, quieting me in one area so he could grow me in another, high school. I stopped singing after the worship team rejection. But that same year, I joined the prayer team, the behind-the-scenes group that prayed during services. I learned to intercede. I learned to hear God's voice in the quiet. I learned that ministry doesn't always happen on a stage. I thought I was hiding. God was training me. College. Uncle Jim mocked my major. My family didn't defend me. I felt so alone. But 2 weeks later, I met Dr. Harper, my theology professor who became a mentor. She saw something in me no one else did. She pushed me, challenged me, told me I had a gift for teaching. She's the one who first said, "You should consider ministry." If my family had affirmed me that Thanksgiving, I might never have felt desperate enough to seek out a mentor. God used their silence to make me hungry for someone who would see me. First job. I stopped pitching ideas after that guy snickered. But I also started watching. I started learning how meetings worked, how ideas got approved, how to read a room. By the time I left that job, I understood organizational dynamics better than most people twice my age. And that knowledge, I'm using it now to structure this ministry. The group chat, Kayla's mockery, the screenshots. I thought it almost killed the vision. But it didn't, it clarified it. Because the week after the group chat, I stopped trying to build something that would impress people. I started building something that would help people. I stopped writing copy that sounded impressive and started writing copy that sounded true. I stopped worrying about what the critics would say and started focusing on what the hurting needed to hear. The mockery burned away everything that wasn't essential. It left me with the core, the calling. I'm crying now, but not sad tears. Grateful tears. Because I can see it now, the whole map. Every wound has a corresponding grace. Every place I thought God abandoned me, He was actually positioning me. He didn't waste a single hurt. He composted every rejection into soil for something new. They meant it for evil, I whisper, thinking of Joseph, but God meant it for good. Genesis 50:20 KJV, not exact, but close enough that I grab my Bible and find it, read it in full. But as for you, ye thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good, to bring to pass, as it is this day, to save much people alive. To save much people alive, that's what's happening. Not because I'm impressive, not because I did everything right, but because God is a redeemer. He takes what was meant to destroy and turns it into something that delivers. Sarah, Michelle, Jessica, Tanya. 4 women who logged into a Zoom call tonight and left lighter than they came. 4 women who are alive, still breathing, still hoping, still trying, because God woke me up at 3 a.m. and wouldn't let me quit even when a group chat tried to kill it. Much people alive. I think about Nehemiah again. How the enemies didn't just mock, they escalated, they conspired, they threatened. All of them conspired together to come and to fight against Jerusalem and to hinder it. Nehemiah 4:8 KJV. But God didn't remove them. He didn't strike them down. He didn't make them apologize. He just kept the builders building. And eventually, the enemies realized something. When our enemies heard that it was known unto us, and God had brought their counsel to naught, we returned all of us to the wall, every one unto his work. Nehemiah 4:15 KJV. God brought their counsel to naught. He didn't argue with them. He didn't defend Nehemiah. He just made their schemes collapse under the weight of his purposes. And the builders, they returned to the wall. That's what I've done. I returned to the wall, and it turns out the wall was never about proving the mockers wrong. It was about proving God faithful. I text Rachel. 4 women showed up tonight. 4. She responds immediately. 4. That's one more than your goal. How did it go? Better than I imagined. I told them about the group chat. You did? What did they say? They thanked me. They said it made them feel less alone. 3 dots appear, disappear, appear again. Then, your wound became their balm. That's how God works. I stare at that text for a long time. Your wound became their balm. Not your strength, not your perfection, not your impressive resume. Your wound, the thing you wanted to hide, became the thing that heals. The next morning, I get an email. It's from Jessica, the one who said she doesn't know if she believes anymore. The subject line is just 2 words, thank you. The body of the email is longer. I almost didn't come last night. I hovered over the Zoom link for 10 minutes, convinced I didn't belong, convinced I was too far gone. But something made me click. And when you talked about Nehemiah building with rubble, with burned stones, with leftovers, I started crying. Because that's what I feel like a burned stone, like something that used to be useful but got destroyed and now I'm just leftover. But you said God teaches us to build with what we have. Even the burned parts, even the broken parts, I don't know if I'm ready to believe that yet, but I want to, and I think that's a start. Thank you for not quitting. Thank you for being honest about the group chat. Thank you for showing up scared. It made me think maybe I can too. See you next week, Jessica. I read it 3 times. Then I forward it to Rachel with no commentary. She calls me 30 seconds later. Do you see it? She says. No hello, just straight to the point. See what? God didn't just preserve you. He preserved you for them. Jessica needed to hear from someone who almost quit. Sarah needed to hear from someone who's afraid. Michelle needed to see that you can build even when you're broken. You couldn't have led them 3 years ago. You weren't ready. But every wound, every mockery, every time you almost quit, it was all preparing you for last night. My throat tightens. I didn't see it that way. That's because you were in it. But now you're far enough along to look back and see God was always working, even when you thought he was silent, even when you thought he abandoned you. He was writing a story that would heal people you haven't even met yet. That afternoon, I do something I've been avoiding for 3 weeks. I open the group chat. I haven't checked it since the day I muted it. I don't know what I expect to find. More mockery maybe, more jokes, or maybe they've moved on entirely and my name hasn't been mentioned since. What I find is nothing. About me anyway. They're planning a baby shower, talking about work drama, sharing memes that have nothing to do with me. I scroll up to the day it happened. Read through the messages again. They still sting. The screenshots, the jokes, Kayla's voice note. But something's different this time. I'm different. 3 weeks ago, reading this made me want to quit, made me want to hide, made me question everything. Today, reading this makes me sad for them. Not in a self-righteous way, just genuinely sad. Because they have no idea what they missed. They have no idea that 4 women met last night and encountered God. They have no idea that their mockery, intended to stop me, actually clarified me, refined me, made me build something truer than I would have built without it. They tried to tear down a wall, and instead they became the resistance that made me stronger. I think about praying for them, the way Nehemiah prayed. Turn their reproach upon their own head. Nehemiah 4:4 KJV. Honest, raw, not sanitized. But I feel something else rising. Not anger, not bitterness, forgiveness. Not because they asked for it. They didn't. They don't even know I'm holding anything. But because I don't want to carry them anymore. I don't want to give them space in my head, in my heart, in my prayers. I don't want their opinions to have any power over what God's building through me. So I do something I couldn't have done 3 weeks ago. I pray a blessing over them, out loud, in my living room, with tears streaming down my face. God, I say, bless Kayla. Bless the ones who laughed. Bless the ones who shared the screenshots. I don't know what they're carrying. I don't know what wounds made them mock mine. But I release them. I hand them to you. I don't need an apology. I don't need them to understand. I just need to be free of needing anything from them. I take a shaky breath. Let them see you the way I'm seeing you now, as a redeemer. As someone who doesn't waste anything. As someone who builds with rubble. And if they ever need what I needed 3 weeks ago, someone to say, keep building, send them that person. Let them have their own Rachel, their own 3 a.m. wake-up call, their own half-wall moment. I wipe my face. I'm building now. And I don't have hands left to hold grudges. When I open my eyes, I feel lighter. Like I just set down something I didn't realize I was carrying. Forgiveness isn't reconciliation. It's not pretending they didn't hurt me. It's not inviting them back into my process. It's just choosing not to let them be my jailer anymore. I open my calendar, look at the next 3 months, and I do what Nehemiah did. I plan the next sections of the wall. Session 2 is scheduled for next week. After that, we'll meet every other week for 12 weeks total. That's the first module. After that, I'll reassess, maybe start a second group, maybe add a monthly gathering for all the groups combined, maybe, eventually, write a curriculum that other people can use to lead their own groups. But I'm not there yet. And that's okay. Right now, I'm just focused on the next brick, the next session, the next woman who needs to hear, "You're not crazy. God is real. You can build with rubble. That's my half wall. One group, 12 weeks, faithfulness over flash. And honestly, it's enough. It's more than enough. Because at the end of those 12 weeks, 4 women will know they're not alone. They'll know God sees them. They'll know they can build even when they're broken. And that is a wall worth building. That night, before I go to bed, I open my Bible to Nehemiah 4:6 one more time. So built we the wall, and all the wall was joined together unto the half thereof, for the people had a mind to work. I underline, the people had a mind to work. Not a person. The people. Plural. Collective. Together. Nehemiah didn't build alone. The families worked side by side, each one responsible for the section nearest their own home. Next unto him, the text says, over and over in chapter 3. Next to him, beside him, alongside him. I didn't build alone either. Rachel showed up, 4 women showed up, God showed up, and the wall that I thought was mine turns out to be ours. A collective act of obedience, a shared refusal to let mockery win. I close the Bible, whisper into the quiet room. Let me be your applause. That was divine whisper number 4, the one I heard 2 weeks ago when I was spiraling again, when I was checking to see if anyone had shared the website, if anyone was talking about it, if the group chat had found it yet. Let me be your applause, not the crowd, not the numbers, not the metrics or the comments or the social proof. Just him, his pleasure, his well done, his quiet, steady presence that says, I see what you're building, and it matters. That's the applause that lasts. That's the applause that sustains. That's the applause worth building for. I grab my journal one more time. Right at the top of a new page, gratitude inventory. Rachel, who asked the hard questions and didn't let me quit. 4 women who said yes when I was terrified no one would. The 3 a.m. vision that refused to fade. The group chat mockery that clarified my calling. Nehemiah 4:6, which held me when I couldn't hold myself. The burned stones of every wound, now being used to build something that heals. The discovery that my weakness isn't disqualification, it's credential. The half wall, real, measurable, undeniable, God's preservation, visible now in hindsight. Forgiveness, which set me free to keep building. I read the list twice. Add one more line at the bottom. The wall is not finished, but neither am I. And that's exactly where grace lives. Build anyway. 4th time I've said it, and tonight, it doesn't feel like a command or a decision or even a vow. It feels like a love song, because building, I'm learning, is an act of worship. Every brick placed in obedience is a lyric. Every session led in fear is a note. Every time I choose God's whisper over the crowd's roar is a chorus. And the song doesn't end when the wall is finished. It ends when I hear him say, well done. Until then, I build. It's been 7 weeks since the first session, and I'm standing in my kitchen again. Same counter, same blue phone glow, same time of night, but everything is different. The phone buzzes. Group chat notification. I see it. I don't feel the punch anymore. I pick it up, not out of compulsion, but out of curiosity. Swipe. They're planning someone's engagement party now. Kayla's typing about decorations. Someone else is sharing Pinterest boards. I smile. Not bitterly, just smile. Because 7 weeks ago, this screen felt like a crime scene. Tonight it's just a group chat. Just people living their lives, talking about their things, existing in their own stories that have nothing to do with me. I set the phone down, screen up this time, no fear, no shame, no spiral. And I go back to what I was doing before it buzzed, prepping for tomorrow's session. Session 6, halfway through the 12-week module. Sarah, Michelle, Jessica and Tanya, plus 2 new women who joined 3 weeks ago after hearing about the group from Michelle. 6 women now, 6 stories, 6 journeys of healing that I get to witness. I'm reading through Nehemiah 4 again because we keep coming back to it. It's become our anthem. Every session, someone quotes it. The people had a mind to work. We say it to each other now like a password, like a reminder, like a battle cry. Tomorrow we're talking about what comes after the half wall. Because that's where we are now, past the initial proof, into the sustaining. The exciting part is over. The I can't believe this is real part has settled. Now it's just work. steady, unglamorous, one brick at a time work. And I'm learning that this part, the after part, requires a different kind of faith. The first session was adrenaline. The fourth session was breakthrough. But session six is just showing up. Again. On a Wednesday night when I'm tired and there are dishes in the sink and I'd rather watch Netflix, session 6 is when you find out if you have a mind to work or if you just had a moment of inspiration. I think about Nehemiah 6. After the wall was built, after all the drama, after all the opposition, after the half wall became a full wall, the enemies tried one more tactic. They invited Nehemiah to, "Come, let us meet together." Nehemiah 6:2, KJV. Sounded innocent. Sounded like reconciliation, maybe. Dialogue. But Nehemiah saw through it. He said, "I am doing a great work, so that I cannot come down. Why should the work cease whilst I leave it and come down to you?" Nehemiah 6:3, KJV. I am doing a great work. Not I did a great work. Past tense, finished, celebrate and coast. I am doing. Present tense. Ongoing. Active. And because the work is still happening, I can't come down. I can't be distracted. I can't leave the wall to defend myself, to explain myself, to debate with people who never wanted the wall built in the first place. The greatest threat after the half wall isn't mockery. It's distraction. It's the invitation to step away, to just have a conversation, to defend, to justify, to prove. And every minute spent defending is a minute not spent building. Last week, I got a message. Not from the group chat, from someone adjacent to it. A mutual friend who stayed neutral this whole time. She said, "Hey, I heard you're doing a women's thing. That's so cool. A few of us were talking and we're curious. What exactly is it? Like, what are you teaching? Do you have credentials for this?" 3 months ago, that message would have sent me into a spiral. I would have typed 17 paragraphs explaining, justifying, listing every reason I'm qualified, defending the calling, proving I'm not delusional. Last week I read it twice. Then I typed, "It's a 12-week healing group rooted in scripture. If you're interested, here's the link to learn more." That's it. No defense, no justification, no explanation of my credentials or my 3 a.m. vision or how God has shown up every single week. Just, here's the work, here's the link. If you want in, come in. If you don't, that's okay too. She never responded. I didn't follow up. Because I'm doing a great work and I can't come down. I grab my notebook. Right at the top. Session 6. Notes. What comes after the half wall? Underneath I write, the excitement fades. The work remains. Obedience becomes ordinary. That's when it becomes real. The enemies shift tactics, from mockery to distraction. Finishing requires different faith than starting. You stop building for applause. You build because God said, build. I stare at that last line. Let it sit. You stop building for applause. That's the shift. That's the sacred emergence. Somewhere between session 1 and session 6, I stopped checking to see who was watching. I stopped wondering if the group chat found out. I stopped performing. I just built, and the building became its own reward. Session 6 happens the next night. We gather on Zoom, 6 faces in 6 boxes. We're comfortable now. We know each other's voices. We know who cries easily, Jessica. Who asks the hard questions, Sarah. Who makes everyone laugh when the tension gets too heavy, Tanya. We're not strangers anymore. We're a team, a family, a group of builders working side by side on our own walls, cheering each other on. I teach through Nehemiah 6:3. Read it slow. Let it land. I am doing a great work, so that I cannot come down. Here's what I want you to hear, I say. The work you're doing, the healing, the rebuilding, the choosing to show up even when it's hard, that's great work. Not because it's big, not because anyone's watching, but because God called you to it, and anything God calls you to is great, even if it looks small to everyone else. Michelle unmutes. I needed that. I've been feeling like I'm not doing enough, like healing should be faster or more dramatic or, I don't know, more impressive. Same, Sarah says. I keep comparing my process to other people's. Like, why is she already leading a Bible study and I'm still just trying to read my Bible consistently? I nod. That's the trap. We think great work has to be public, has to be big, has to be seen. But Nehemiah's great work was just building a wall, one stone at a time. Most of it was invisible, sweaty, repetitive, boring even. But it was great because God said do it, and Nehemiah said yes. Tanya leans into the camera. So showing up to this call every week, even when I'm tired, even when I'd rather scroll TikTok, that's great work. Yes, I say. That's exactly great work. Because you're doing what God is asking you to do in this season. You're not coming down. You're not getting distracted. You're building. We spend the next hour talking about distractions, the invitations to come down, the ways the enemy shifts tactics when mockery doesn't work. Jessica talks about how her sister, who initially dismissed her journey, suddenly wants to grab coffee and talk about what you're learning. Sounds innocent. But every time they meet, her sister spends the whole time subtly undermining. Are you sure you're not just running from your problems? Are you sure this group isn't just an echo chamber? It's not mockery, Jessica says. It's concern trolling. And it's harder to resist because it sounds like she cares. That's Sanballat energy, I say. Nehemiah's enemies tried 4 times to get him to come down and meet. 4 times he said no, because he knew the meeting wasn't about dialogue, it was about delay. They wanted to stop the work without looking like the bad guys. Sarah nods. My mum does that. She'll say, I just want to understand what you're doing, but really she wants to talk me out of it. So what do we do? Michelle asks. How do we say no without being rude? Without burning bridges? I think for a moment. Then, we do what Nehemiah did. We tell the truth simply. I'm doing a great work. I can't come down. We don't over-explain. We don't defend. We just state the boundary and keep building. Near the end of the call, something happens that I don't expect. Tanya unmutes. She's been quiet most of the night, which is unusual for her. I need to tell you guys something, she says. Her voice is shaky. We wait. Last week, a friend reached out. She's going through something really hard. And normally, I would have just listened and said, I'm praying for you, and left it at that. But this time, she pauses, wipes her eyes. This time I told her about this group. I told her what we're learning. I told her about Nehemiah and the half wall and having a mind to work. And I asked if she wanted me to pray with her. Not just for her, with her, right there on the phone. She's crying now, we all are. And she said yes, and we prayed. And afterward she said, I didn't know I was allowed to be that honest with God. And her voice breaks. I realize that's what you've been doing for us. You've been showing us we're allowed to be honest, and now I get to do that for someone else. I can't speak for a full 10 seconds. My throat is too tight, because that is the sacred emergence. Not me building a platform, not me becoming known, not me proving the group chat wrong. It's Tanya in her own quiet life, with her own friend, on her own phone call, passing on what she's received. It's the wall extending beyond me, beyond this group, into the ordinary unseen moments where healing actually happens. Tanya, I finally manage, that's what this is about. That's the whole thing. You just did exactly what God is building this for. She nods, wiping her face. I know. And I almost didn't tell her. I almost just listened and moved on. But I heard your voice in my head saying, build anyway. So I did. After the call ends, I sit in the quiet of my living room for a long time. Tanya just became a builder. Not because I recruited her, not because I trained her, but because she caught something. She watched me build, and it gave her permission to build too. That's how walls extend. That's how movements start. Not through platforms or credentials or viral moments, through ordinary people doing great work in the unseen places, one brick at a time. The next morning, I get a text from a number I don't recognize. Hi, my name is Monica. Tanya told me about your group. I don't know if you're accepting new people, but if you are, I'd really like to join. I stare at the text. This is how it grows. Not through ads, not through the group chat finding out and me proving them wrong. Through word of mouth. Through women who've been healed telling other women who need healing. I text back, Hi Monica, yes, we'd love to have you. Here's the link to register for the next session. She responds immediately, Thank you. I've been waiting for something like this. I think about Nehemiah 6:15 to 16. The wall was finished in 52 days, and when the enemies saw it, they perceived that this work was wrought of our God. Nehemiah 6:16 KJV. They perceived, not because Nehemiah argued with them, not because he defended himself or proved his credentials or explained his vision, because the wall was standing. The work spoke louder than words ever could. That afternoon, I do something I've been avoiding. I look at the website analytics. Not because I need validation, just because I'm curious. 43 visitors in the last month. Not thousands, not hundreds. 43. But 7 of them filled out the registration form. 7 women said yes, and of those 7, 6 are still showing up. 86% retention. I don't know if that's good by industry standards. I don't care, because those 6 women are real. They have names, they have stories, they're building. And one of them, Tanya, is already helping someone else build. That's multiplication. That's kingdom math. That's the wall extending. I open my calendar, look ahead to the next 3 months. This group finishes in 5 weeks. After that, I'll take 2 weeks off. Then I'll start a second group, maybe 8 women this time, maybe 10. And I'll invite Tanya to co-lead, not because she's trained, not because she has credentials, but because she has a mind to work, because she's built her own wall, because she's ready to help someone else build theirs. That's the sacred emergence. The student becomes the teacher, the healed becomes the healer, the builder raises up more builders. That night, before bed, I read Nehemiah 4:6-1, final time. So built we the wall, and all the wall was joined together unto the half thereof, for the people had a mind to work. I close my Bible slowly. Let the words settle. So built we the wall, not I built. We built. Together, side by side, each one carrying stones, guarding their section, encouraging the person next to them. The wall was never mine. It was ours. It was always meant to be shared. My phone buzzes one more time. I pick it up, expecting another group chat ping. But it's not. It's Jessica. I've been thinking about what Tanya said tonight, about helping her friend, and I realized I think God is asking me to do something similar. Not a group, just being more honest with people about my journey. Not hiding anymore. I'm scared, but I think I'm ready. I smile, type back, "That's great work, Jessica. Don't come down. Just build." She sends back a single emoji, a brick. I laugh. Send back the same. I set the phone down. Walk to the window. Look out at the quiet street, the dark houses, the ordinary night. And I think about how sacred emergence doesn't look like a stage or a spotlight or a crowd. It looks like this. 6 women on a Zoom call, 1 friend helping another, 1 brick placed in obedience, 1 wall extending into the unseen places where God does his best work. It looks like showing up on a Wednesday night when you're tired. It looks like saying no to distractions so you can say yes to the work. It looks like building even when no one's watching, especially when no one's watching, because you're not building for applause anymore. You're building for him. I whisper into the quiet room. One last time. Finish with me. That was Divine Whisper number 5. The one I heard 2 days ago when I was tempted to rush, to expand too fast, to start a podcast and a book and 3 more groups all at once because momentum feels like validation. Finish with me, not for them, not even for you. Finish with me, not fast, not impressive, just faithful. 1 group, then another, then another. 1 woman, then another, then another. Slow, sustainable, sacred. I grab my journal one last time. Right at the top. What this taught me. Mockery doesn't cancel calling. It clarifies it. The half wall is enough. Proof matters more than perfection. Obedience outlasts applause. Your wounds become your credentials. Great work doesn't have to be big work. It just has to be God's work. The wall extends when builders raise up builders. Finishing requires saying no to distractions. Sacred emergence looks ordinary. That's how you know it's real. I close the journal, breathe, and I realize I'm not the same person who stood in this kitchen 7 weeks ago, staring at a group chat, wanting to quit. I'm not harder. I'm not thicker-skinned. I haven't gotten over the wounds. I've just learned to build with them. I've learned that God doesn't waste anything. Not the mockery, not the fear, not the burned stones of every hurt. He just teaches you how to lift them, how to place them, how to build something that heals. Build anyway. 5th time I've said it. Final time. And tonight, it's not a command or a decision or a vow or even a love song. It's just the truth. The simplest, most resilient truth I know. When God says build, you build. When critics mock, you build. When you're tired, you build. When no one's watching, you build. When the wall is half finished and the work feels ordinary and the applause is quiet, you build. Not because you're strong, because He is. Not because you're qualified, because He calls. Not because it's easy, because it's obedience. And obedience, slow, unsexy, one-brick obedience, outlasts everything. I walk back to the kitchen table, sit down, open my notebook to a fresh page. At the top, I write, Session 7 Prep. And I smile, because the wall isn't finished, but neither am I. And that's exactly where grace lives. Prayer. Lord, give me a mind to work and a heart that doesn't bow to mockery. Strengthen my hands when they tremble. Teach me to build with the rubble, the wounds, the fears, the burned stones of every hurt. Let my obedience be louder than their laughter. Help me remember, I'm not building for applause, I'm building for you. And when the work feels ordinary, when I'm tempted to come down, when distraction calls, remind me, I'm doing a great work, I cannot come down. Finish this with me, Lord, not for them, not even for me. Finish it with me. Amen. Phrase, carry this with you. Mind to work. Say it when doubt whispers. Say it when the phone buzzes. Say it when you're tired and the wall feels too big. Say it until it becomes not just a phrase but a posture, the way you approach every day, every task, every brick. Practice. This week, schedule 2 trowel blocks. 25-minute sessions where you work on your next step. No phone, no distractions, just you and the work. Guard them like Nehemiah guarded the wall. Text one trusted ally. Tell them your next half-wall milestone. Ask them to check in with you in 7 days. Not to encourage, to ask. Did you do it? Practice the Nehemiah 6:3 boundary. When someone invites you to come down, to defend, explain, or justify, practice saying, I'm doing a great work. I can't come down. You don't owe everyone access to your process. Friend, if you're still here, if you've walked with me through these 7 weeks, through the group chat and the tears and the trowel blocks and the half wall, thank you. Thank you for not letting me build alone. You need to know something. The calling in your chest, the dream that won't let you sleep, the thing that terrifies you because it's so much bigger than you feel capable of, that's real. It didn't come from you. It came through you. And the people laughing don't get a vote. God gave you the wall. God gave you the will. Now He's giving you the strength to place one more brick. You don't need permission from people who didn't give you the vision. You don't need credentials from a system that doesn't understand your calling. You don't need to feel ready or brave or qualified. You just need a mind to work. And I believe you have it. I believe God is building something through you that will outlast every criticism, every mockery, every moment you almost quit. So build. Build when they laugh. Build when you're scared. Build when the wall is only halfway up and you can't see the finished thing yet. Build because obedience is louder than applause. Build because your wounds are becoming someone else's balm. Build because God said yes to you, and that's the only approval you need. The wall is not finished, but neither are you, and that's exactly where grace lives. Go build, beloved. The stones are waiting, and so is He. Amen.